Hi Calculus 1 students. In this video, we're going to do this limit using the fundamental trigonometric limit. So in other words, and this is actually, remember, a slight variation of it. What it says is that as long as what's inside the sign and what's outside the sign here are both approaching zero, are approaching zero but are also the same thing, then the limit is 1, okay? And that's it. We're going to use that fact in order to do a limit that is a little bit challenging. Before I say anything else, this is labeled as an exercise. This means that you should first attempt this problem yourself, okay? So if you didn't attempt it, close this video, take a pencil and attempt it yourself. You should continue this video if either you're stuck or you found a result, you did the limit, you found a result, and you want to see if your result is correct, and if your method compares with mine. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is the tangent over here, we know that this is sine over cosine. Now we don't have any problem with the cosine because cosine of 0 is 1. But still, we need to express it in order to remove it from the limit. So here it is, limit as t is approaching 0 of sine of 60, okay, divided by the cosine of 60. And in these types of limit, I strongly recommend that you actually make several factors like this, okay? And of course, like, keep in mind that the limit has everything in it. Okay, so actually just to make sure that this is not confusing, I'll put these brackets. Okay, so now each time you have something that's not an indeterminate form, that for which direct substitution doesn't give 0, you can actually remove it from the limit. And here's how you do it. So look at this cosine of 60. Okay, if you replace 0, if you replace t with 0, this is giving you 1. So it's a limit that exists. Okay, so you can say that this is the limit as t is approaching 0 of 1 over cosine of 60. Okay, and multiply this with the rest of the limit. Okay. Now, one thing that we will do is we will work out with the sine of 60. Okay, I will stop writing over here. So let's have a look at this sine of 60. This sine of 60 is unfortunately approaching 0. So what you have to do is to use this result somehow, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to divide by 60, but it forces you to also multiply by 60, okay? Now that 60 is going to become part of the rest of the limit. So in other words, the rest of the indeterminate form, okay? With the sine of 3t, you're going to do the exact same thing, okay? So in other words, you divide by 3t because you know that this overall thing will approach 1, and you multiply by 3t. Okay, now as discussed, we know that cosine of 0 is 1, so that this limit is 1. Let's just write 1 times the rest, okay? But of course, I'm expecting you to just not write the 1 at this point, just write this limit. Or just to be clear, please write 1 times, but then do it 1 time and don't do it afterwards. Now, it turns out to be the same thing here. This is no more an indeterminate form. We know that this is approaching 1. So we're going to take it away from the limit. We're going to write here limit as t is approaching 0 of sine of 60 divided by 60 times the limit of the rest. So the limit as t is approaching 0 of 60 over, and now look at what's going to happen, okay? We have a common factor of t in these two terms, okay? So these are two terms. You have 2t minus all of this. So t is a common factor. We're going to take it out. And we have 2 minus, and here I'm gonna continue color coding the sine of 3t over 3t, because you're gonna see something quite neat that will happen. But I will not color code the 3. I will just leave it like this. Okay, we're almost done. Okay. Now, the t's here cancel. And after their cancellation, again, we don't have anymore an indeterminate form because we know that this is approaching 1. So, as a result, what do we have? We have 1 times. So this is this one over here. This whole thing is approaching 1 as well. Okay, so this limit over here. And this limit, we're going to do the direct substitution. So we have 6 divided by 2 minus, and then again, we know that this is approaching 1. So we write it now, times 3. And as you can see, so 6 over negative 1 is negative 6. This is your final result. All right, I hope this helped. See you either in the next video or in the next class.